All right, Guido Kerkhoff, the CFO of Thyssenkrupp, joins us on the big deal to talk about the large transaction between Tata Steel Europe and Thyssenkrupp and 50-50 joint venture formed. First, Mr. Kerkhoff, tell us about the rationale of this transaction and what does this really bring to the table for Thyssenkrupp in Europe?
Well, thank you, first of all, to share our views with you right now. We're very glad that we can do that. I think the issue we all face here in Europe, first of all, is that we have overcapacities in the steel sector everywhere. And I think combining the two entities, Tata Steel Europe and Thyssenkrupp Steel Europe, is really the best way to address these issues that we have here in the European market. We will create a very strong number two in the market, by far bigger than the next ones, and therefore will be able to drive synergies and have a better standing and to break out of the vicious circle of always going down on overcapacities. So this, I think, is a strong rationale.
Right, Mr. Kerkhoff, that was the deal rationale. And of course, there is overcapacity. The steel cycle has gone through a very difficult time. So both of you coming together would really add to both the strengths of the companies. But when we talk about Thyssenkrupp, you're a larger entity in this joint venture when it comes to the EBITDA contribution. The two units of Tata Steel Europe, which really come in, are producing or profitability-wise lower than Thyssenkrupp's unit. So why a 50-50 joint venture? Why is it a partnership of equals when you are clearly the bigger partner?
Well, I think if you take a look at the culture, and as Mr. Chandrasekaran stated out in his statement very clearly, what we both share, Thyssenkrupp and Tata, is indeed the same heritage, and we share the same values. Both companies have a very, very long-standing history in steel. And I think that was one of the key reasons why Tata overall moved into the European steel sector. Now, how do you really want to evolve over time, grabbing the synergies and using the combined forces of both companies and leverage that in a best way in a JV? This is always a 50-50 joint venture. Yes, you're right. Coming from the past, we are bigger, we have a bit of higher profitability. But if we really want to grab all the opportunities and jointly deploy that for the future, I think a 50-50 joint venture is indeed the best approach. And based on the same values that we share, I think we are the right ownership structure to really make this joint venture successful for the future in the European steel sector.
All right, the cultural connect as well between Tata Steel and Thyssenkrupp in this joint venture partnership. But how will you really look at realizing the synergies that you've talked about, 400 to 600 million euros from this particular transaction? What are the areas that you're working on for this?
No, the 400 to 600 million is clearly the synergies we want to see for the joint venture overall. And we have clearly stated as well that we think it's up to 4,000 people, up to 2,000 in administration and up to 2,000 employees in production sites that we see. And this will be largely equally shared across the two contributing parties. Where do we see the synergies now? Clearly, it's general and administration costs that we want to reduce, and we can do selling as well. On the other hand, we see R&D. Currently, we develop the same product twice. We can reduce that and focus better on the key requirements of our customers in a more focused and better manner going forward. On top of that, we can better lever all and use our capacities by bigger lots and by certain focus for certain equipment just in one location instead of running it in two, so we can have larger lots and therefore get more economies out of scale out of the current footprint. This all will help us to lever the 400 to 600 million in the first phase.
All right, Mr. Kerkhoff, thanks so much for joining us right here on CNBC TV 18. And many congratulations on this large transaction. So it's a big, big deal and a big consolidation in the global steel space. For as far as impact of our market is concerned, if you really look at that, I have two takeaways from this large transaction. First, Tata Group will be extremely active on the deal street. And second, the steel assets up for sale by way of debt situation operation in India, have a keen and aggressive buyer in Tata Steel, with full backing coming in from the parent company, Tata Sons. With that, it's a wrap from me on this edition of Big Deal. Thanks so much for tuning in.